Okay, welcome to this amazing talk today. I have got Alicia Weston with me, and I just wanted to say thank you, Alicia, for coming here.
Thank you.
Yeah, and we have caught up and decided to have this lovely conversation about the intersection between psychology and the body. Well, specifically psychology and the chakras. And that's why I got in touch with you, because I'm fascinated by this connection between obviously the mind, heart, and body. And myself, having trained as a clinical psychologist, we're very top heavy in our training and we're very
Yeah.
top down. The mind is sort of where we go in and get the changes and the shifts. But more and more these days, we're becoming more aware of just the connection of all of it.
Yeah.
And I really feel that as psychologists, if we're missing the body piece, we're just not working very
Yeah.
efficiently, is my
Yeah.
belief. So,
Yeah.
and I've
I
been
agree.
watching what you've been doing, and I just love it. And I also attended this 1 day training on the chakra system, and my mind kind of blew, because I'm like, wow, there's a connection between the work that we do in the wellbeing codes, which is looking at which schemas is the person struggling with,
Yeah.
and and maybe what chakras they line up with, which is why I wanted to invite you here today, Alicia.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, yeah. So I
So,
wonder if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your training and background, but also what you're doing these days.
yeah. So trained as a clinical psychologist, and I've been working in that field for the last 15 years, probably. And then in more recent years, I've trained in, I guess, more of the alternative health modalities. So I've recently trained in yoga, breathwork, Reiki, kinesiology, and just keep adding to the
Wow.
mix. Yeah, probably I think I first really looked into the chakras. I did quite a deep dive course about 6 years ago, and that just, yeah, it blew my mind as well. I was like, we're missing a whole other piece of work, I think, in psychology. And then over the last 6 years is when I went training kinesiology and Reiki. And for a
Mm.
long time, I was probably just using it, for myself with my family. And then in the last year, I've opened up a holistic health practice. So I still have my clinical psychology practice, but branched out into a holistic health practice as well. And, kind of operating them side by side at the
Mm-hmm.
moment. But like what you were saying with the chakras, is there's such an overlap between,
Mm.
I think, everything that I do. It's sometimes just putting different language, different ways of treating it, or different ways of explaining it. But ultimately, I think there's so much overlap.
Yeah, beautiful. So does your psychology training inform your holistic practice, and does your holistic training inform what you do in your psychology sessions?
They're very much related in that it's
Yeah.
it's I guess hard to separate the two, but it would be how, I think, like, going into the holistic health space particularly, I'm like, my psychology background could not have given me a better background to go in and do that work.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas then also, in the psychology space, I guess it doesn't come up as much because everybody's not as, maybe interested, in
Mm.
the alternative therapies, or, but it's still always there in the background. It may be that I'm not
Mm.
talking about the chakras with who I'm working with, but in my mind, it will
Yep.
be flagging, okay, this could be an imbalance here, or,
Yeah. And
um,
in your psychology sessions, are you able to introduce some kind of body-based techniques, like even if it's EFT tapping or just dropping into the body,
yeah,
to make
yeah,
those
absolutely.
connections?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and again, like, there's so much that we can do, meditation, visualizations, EFT. Like, I use EFT for everything.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
it could be used to balance all of the chakras.
Yeah.
A lot of the somatic experiencing,
Yep. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
EMDR. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I've even found that even just 2 to 5 minutes or some kind of body-based technique in my session where it's mostly talk therapy. It's a lot of it is talk therapy. We can take an hour to talk and understand in the mind what's going on, but just a little bit of body-based techniques, whether that's, okay, let's just drop into our body right now. Put your hand on your heart.
Yeah.
Or let's stand up and get a really nice tall posture and get in touch with your core sense of self and identity in your solar plexus and feel that fire in your belly, like some kind of very brief body-based technique. There's something more powerful in that, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. I think now I find it very hard not to bring the body into therapy. I think everything that we, know about how the body stores, emotions and trauma and, even stagnant energy and all of that, it's like, how can we not, involve the body in therapy?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. All right. So, Alicia, what we're going to do is something really crazy. We're going to sort of go back and forth between the wellbeing codes, which is a schema-informed approach to wellbeing, and then one chakra at a time, just to understand, the sort of healing work that we are doing over here in the wellbeing codes, using mainly a sort of a top-down approach, talking about understanding what's going on, what schemas are active there. And then I'm going to sort of hand over to you to talk about one chakra at a time. Okay. Yes. So this is a new conversation, so who knows where it's going to go. But anyway, okay. So quickly, for those of you who are not familiar with the wellbeing codes, we've looked at the 18 schemas described by Jeffrey Young that develop in childhood based on unmet core needs. And we've flipped them and we've looked at what positive outcomes would we expect to see when we heal those schemas, and how can they be grouped. And so we've come up with these 6 wellbeing codes that incorporate all the 18 schemas. And so we've called them the connection code, the confidence code, the optimism code, the self-appreciation code, the fairness code, and the self-discipline code. And that's with my colleague and longtime friend, Dr. Rachel Wheeler. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly describe the optimism code first, and then I'm going to hand over to you to talk a little bit about the root or the base chakra. Okay. Excellent. So the optimism code is for clients who are struggling predominantly with fear. And the outcome that we want to help them with is to get a sense of peace and safety, if you like, peace and safety. And so there's 4 schemas that load on to the optimism code that block it. And they are the abandonment instability schema, mistrust abuse schema, the negativity pessimism schema, and the vulnerability to harm and illness schema. So these are all very fear-based schemas that cause us to feel unsafe in life, unsafe about our relationships, the security of our relationships, and unsafe about the future as well. So we're in a constant state of anxiety. And so the healing pathways for each of those 4 schemas that will help with optimism are security and stability, the capacity to trust, hopefulness, and faith in the goodness of life. Yeah. And when you activate all of them, you feel nice and grounded in life. Yeah. Nice and secure. Nice and secure in the present. So when you feel nice and secure in your life in the present, you feel kind of connected to the ground, if you like, you feel grounded. From that place, of course, you're going to feel optimistic about your life because life is looking rosy, because it's feeling rosy right now, or it's feeling stable. So that's the sort of work that we do in the optimism code, and they're the schemas that we help people explore, like where did they get those schemas from, what events in their past might have led them to develop the abandonment schema, the mistrust schema, etc., and develop new narratives for themselves, and also create their own specific intention to cultivate optimism. Like,
Yeah.
I want to cultivate optimism. I want to cultivate peace in my life, like owning that peace. Anyway, so that's the framework for the optimism code, Alicia. But I wonder, would you be able to talk a little bit about the work that you do with, do you call it the root chakra or the base chakra?
I'd probably go in, yeah, I go interchangeable between the two. But
Yeah,
so chakras are, we can think of them as like spinning wheels of discs of energy that
yeah,
kind of circulate all throughout the body. And so we
yes,
have 7 chakras.
yeah.
So our base chakra is the first of those chakras, which is located at the base of the spine. And all of the chakras are associated with a color. So for the base, it's connected with red, associated with the color red. So we have our root chakra, the Muladhara chakra at the base of the spine, with the color red. And so it's very much related to what you were saying, that it's in relation to our like safety, security, our groundedness in the world. It can be in relation to family, our sense of belonging. It can be related to, you know, our finances. So really that stability and security in life.
Mm.
So where we could see an imbalance in the base chakra is when, you know, at times when we've felt unsafe, you know, so if we've felt unsafe in our bodies, unsafe in our environments, we have scarcity around finances, that's all going to, you know, kind of impact our groundedness. And the key emotion that's related to the base chakra is fear. So very much like what you were saying as well. So it can be the stress response, the fight or flight in the body. And so we can either be deficient in a chakra, so we can have too little of an energy, or we can have an excessive, you know, kind of too much energy in the
Yeah.
chakra. So both are an imbalance, but it can show up in a different way.
I see.
Mm.
So what would it look like if you had too much energy in the root chakra? Is that too much fear, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so it could be like with the base chakra, it could show up, like say around the finances, it could be greed. Like it could be that real
Yeah, yeah.
attachment to materialistic, you know, things. Yeah, whereas
Yes.
the imbalance is that, you know, the fear around money or the scarcity,
Yes.
you know,
Oh,
kind of
I love
mindset.
that, because we talk about like overcompensatory kind of responses to these schemas. So that would be, you know, like the greed and the um, doing too much to get money, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
brilliant. Okay.
yeah.
And what would be an example of what would you actually do if you could identify that someone had a, you know, like a deficiency or too much energy there? Like, what would you do?
So there's lots of different, you know, things that we can do. I guess like there's, you know, so many different ways that we can work amongst the different
Mm-hmm.
modalities. So there's the energy medicine kind of way through, you know, it could be through Reiki, could be through crystals, through essential oils.
Mm-hmm.
Yoga is amazing for all of the chakras, but having really grounded, often your standing postures where the feet are really that, you know,
Yep.
earthed into the ground. Can be time in nature.
Yep.
Yeah, really like connecting with the earth. Whereas then more from the
Mm.
psychology, you know, side, it can be, you know, looking at attachment styles. You know, if we have
Yeah.
a insecure attachment style, or, you know, we have felt unsafe, you know,
Yep.
growing up, then that's going to, you know, usually probably show as a imbalance in the root
Yeah.
chakra.
Or even your relationship with money, like if you were bad at budgeting, I don't know.
Yeah. And then you know, the inherited beliefs, you know, then the kind of intergenerational trauma, like a
Yes.
lot of that can be in the root
Oh,
chakra as well.
absolutely. Like scarcity around money and, you know,
Yeah,
well, money doesn't grow on trees and, you know, that hoarding and all of that.
yeah, yeah. So I think
Fantastic.
for me, one thing I have I guess worked out about myself in working in the 2 different spaces is I'm not somebody who I find can just work in psychology or just work in the energy space. You know, if I'm working with somebody with their chakras, is as much as I love the crystals, I love essential oils and Reiki, and I love all of that. But I think it's also really important to understand, well, what are the, you know, irrational beliefs that are
Yeah.
keeping this stuck, or
Perpetuating it.
what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I guess that's for me where I, you know, blend the modalities of still using the psychology and that knowledge of, you know, I guess all of the knowledge that we, you know, acquire through psychology with the attachments and all of that,
Yeah.
but then kind of blending it with, you know, the things that I guess can seem fun as well, like the yoga postures and energy work and,
Oh,
you know,
it's
sound
totally
healing.
fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's so beautiful, because you can't unsee the psychology of it, can you? You can't just unknow that in your holistic
Yeah.
work.
And
Oh, that's
I don't think I would ever want to, because you know, I think one of the biggest things that we can teach people is self-awareness. And if we, you know, are maybe just balancing, you know, their own energy body, or, you know, kind of giving them things in that sense without them really understanding why and how
yeah.
to read it in their body and to learn from it, it's, you know, they don't learn the tools themselves or have that self-awareness.
100%. I mean, I think humans, we want to understand the why, like we're thinking creatures as
Or
well.
maybe we do because of the work that we do.
Or maybe that's not everyone. Maybe that's just psychologists.
Yeah.
But as psychologists, we love to explain to people the why. And we love to see the light bulbs go on when they can
Yeah.
make rational sense of what they're feeling in their body. I really think that's very empowering to go, oh, well, that
Yeah.
makes sense that I have nervousness around that, because these are some of the events from my childhood that would make me
Yeah.
sensitive to those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think that's very empowering. I love that.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I
Oh, good.
agree.
Okay, so let's go on to the next wellbeing code. So the self-appreciation code is the code for people who have an excess around guilt. They feel like they always need to be doing more and
Yeah.
pleasing people. And the healing emotional state is joy. So they start to feel more joy. They feel less guilty about prioritizing things like pleasure, beauty, play, etc. And we
Yeah.
find that when they start to heal that, they become more creative and they start to experience more beauty and pleasure and delight in life. And they're not just all focused on outcomes and work and goals and things like that. So the two so the two schemas that block self-appreciation are unrelenting standards and approval seeking, recognition seeking. And the healing pathways for those schemas are self-care and self-praise. So once our clients learn to really engage in self-care, not just the bath bombs and the massages, but tuning into their nervous systems, like honoring their nervous systems, like what is your body telling you about the amount of mental load that you've got on right now, and starting to create balance based on what their body is telling them, and also being less dependent on others to give them praise, to say, oh, you're doing so well in life, you're succeeding, like, so becoming less dependent on the outside world and more just sort of patting ourselves on the back. And then we become more inspired and creative, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right. So I wonder, I mean, I know there's not a strict overlap, but I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the sacral chakra now.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely see an overlap with these two as well. So the sacral chakra is the second chakra. It's about 3 to 4 inches kind of below our belly button. It is the color orange, and it relates to like our sexuality, our sensuality, creativity, presence. Like it can be that masculine and feminine when we're, in our masculine of the busy and kind of overworking and inability to rest. you know, or when it's balanced with our flow, with our surrender. So the key emotion with the sacral is guilt as well. So it can show up in, I guess, like when we look at the chakras, it can be through, you know, an energy imbalance. It can be the emotional, it can be the physical. So in terms of physical, it could show up as like menstrual pain, or inconsistency in the menstrual cycle. It can be, you know, difficulties in pregnancy, in infertility. So that can be more like the physical side, and the emotional side can be the guilt.
And
A
stress.
lot of guilt in stress. It can be like stress of in the 3 chakras, like where you talk about stress in the root for the adrenals, and it can also come back up in the solar plexus. But also in the sacral, it can be that inability, like to inability to rest or to always keep going, which, you know, can be a stress response.
Which comes back to guilt, doesn't it? It's like, I'm not allowed to rest.
And it can be, you know, the connection to body is also, you know, with the sacral.
And same in the self-appreciation code is whenever we're not honoring our bodies, we're just sort of, you know, it's like we're cut off from the neck down, and we're just a thinking machine, and we're just thinking about what's got to be done, but not honoring this whole other aspect of our life, which is, well, what does your body need right now?
And similar to what you were saying is, you know, joy can be, you know, I guess a part of the, you know, of how you balance it, that we have the guilt on one side, and then to balance it is through the joy. It can be when we are in kind of excess of the energy in the sacral, so kind of overbalanced in the sacral, can be when it's like overly emotional, or, you know, really big emotions. And then the when we're kind of low in the sacral energy, can be like a disconnect to the emotions, disconnect to the body.
And I really love looking at masculine energy and feminine energy, and how that can be balanced, you know, doing versus being, and looking at, you know, the balance in our lives.
And I think that, you know, the sacral chakra is a really big one for, you know, for many people. You know, like the elements of sexual shame and all of that that's held in the sacral is something that I think, you know, that shame is something that comes up for many people.
Yes. And so what's a simple thing that you could do if you thought, oh, I've got an imbalance there?
Well, I guess like your simple ones would be, you know, you could choose like your crystals, that like your orange crystals that you go with the sacral chakra. Probably one of my favorite, but it may not be considered simple, because people often, you know, don't always like it. But it's like the embodiment practices of like your non-linear movement, or, you know, so it's like, learning to be in your body again, or to move your body, you know, not necessarily dance that is, you know, you're following a script, or
routine.
you know, a routine, but being able to drop into your body and move, and to connect with emotions, and
just move whatever is coming up in your body.
Yeah.
Actually, I went to a workshop by Michaela Bohem in Melbourne.
Oh, amazing.
It was amazing. But I was on my own as a psychologist, I think, and everyone was like yoga practitioners, and there was wailing and howling and everything coming up, and I'm like, wow, okay, this is like a whole different approach that we're definitely not exposed to in our psychology training, are we?
No, but how amazing.
But so beneficial to just drop into your body and move whatever you're feeling. If you're feeling rigidity, move as rigidity until something else appears.
And creativity is another way, you know, painting, or, you know, any kind of, you know, creative. Yeah.
creative and silly, the sort of things that children do. Hey, they don't make
Yeah.
sense to
Yeah.
do finger
Yeah.
painting or play in the dirt or whatever.
Yeah. Any of the like pleasure or desire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. All right. So now let me describe to you the confidence code. Okay. So the confidence code is for people that have a lot of fear about expressing themselves, their opinion, showing up as their authentic self, out of fear that they might be overpowered or dominated by others or excluded. So they tend to doubt themselves. So the core emotion that we're working with in the confidence code is doubt, that they question themselves, they question their
Yeah.
position on something. And the emotion that we're wanting to activate more of is courage.
Yeah.
Okay. And that, so the 4 schemas that block our confidence, we believe in the wellbeing codes, they are the dependence incompetence schema, the enmeshment undeveloped self schema, the subjugation schema, and the failure schema. So all of those are going to make us feel like, we're not good enough, we're not smart enough, we don't know what we're doing, we don't have a good sense of self. And the healing pathways for each of those schemas in order is autonomy, individuality, assertiveness, and willingness to fail. So when we activate those, we start to, have this really good sense of, I know who I am. And yes, I'm not the same as everyone else. I'm an individual person with my own beliefs, thoughts, history, desires, goals, values, and that's okay. And I'm allowed to show up as myself in life.
Yeah.
So I love working on that code. I especially love working on that code with women because there's all that conditioning around women not being able to show up as a separate, authentic, individual person and kind of having to blend with others. So I wonder,
Absolutely.
yes, can you please talk us through the solar plexus? Yes.
Yeah. So solar plexus at our, in our stomach or at the abdomen. So our third chakra, color yellow. And so it's related to, much again of what you've said. So doubt would be the key emotion, and courage is what we are wanting to bring in, to infuse, I guess, into the solar plexus. So it can all be around our self-worth, our confidence. Anxiety can show up there in the solar plexus. So in terms of the physical, it can be digestive problems. So there's a lot of women that I work with that, are working with a naturopath around gut health and then have been referred, for more of like the solar plexus.
Yes.
Stuff as well. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I think I've struggled with this one since childhood, and I always used to get butterflies in my tummy when I had the sense that I had to perform, be assessed, or if I was in like an argument with someone. Or butterflies in my tummy, so that would sort of connect with all of that, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it can show up as that, the people pleasing or the kind of the passive side of, passive communication, which the solar plexus and the throat are very closely linked together. Being able to believe in yourself or have the confidence to stand in your power. So it can, an imbalance in the solar plexus can show up as that powerlessness.
That's it.
The doubt.
Powerlessness, helplessness, maybe even.
Yeah.
And Alicia, one technique I just love, which is so simple, is just getting my clients to stand up straight with their shoulders back and their feet sort of shoulder distance apart, and even just getting a sense of their solar plexus and their sense of identity, and just repeat their name, I am Tracy, and say it loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what kind of techniques might you use in your holistic practice to
Yeah.
balance energy there?
There's so many different ones that we can do. Like it can be the neurolymphatic points, like in the kinesiology of rubbing, like the the stomach points is often where they will go weak in terms of a muscle test when we're looking at the solar plexus chakra. Any of like the visualizations, breath of fire in the yogic practice where we're like pumping that
Uh-huh.
oxygen in and out of the stomach is a good way to activate
Oh, yeah,
the
yeah.
energy there.
Yep,
But I
yep,
think like any of the imagery work, even like exposure kind of,
yep.
which is more
Yeah.
from the psychology lens, but exposure therapy with the
Yes.
solar plexus that,
Yep.
it could be using the visualization of visualizing themselves being confident and running through a script of what they need to do,
Mm.
and then actually going and doing that.
Right. Like asking for a raise at work or expressing an opinion to their partner, and they just need
Yeah.
to practice that first and visualize it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can
Yeah.
see where it links in with the throat, that it's kind of, having the confidence and the
Yep.
ability to kind of stand in your power is like one part with the solar plexus.
Yep.
And then the throat is what, the actual expression or the communication.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's a really good point, because I find just going straight for the verbal expression of what you want to say, sometimes you're bypassing that sort of the confidence piece or that solar plexus, that energy that says,
Yeah.
I know who I am. Like you kind of have to get in
Yeah.
touch with that first, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Mm,
again, like EFT,
yeah.
I use tapping with people all the time around confidence and the solar
Yes.
plexus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Love that.
Mm.
Yeah, I really do love that chakra. Oh, that and that code. All right, now let's talk about the connection code. In the wellbeing codes, the connection code is for clients that struggle with a lot of shame, and the emotion that we're wanting to cultivate is love, more feelings of love. Or if you even struggle with the word love, um, we can use the word warmth.
Yeah.
I like the word warmth as well, that feeling of warmth towards yourself and warmth towards other people,
Yeah.
and feeling warmth in your relationships with others. So the schemas that block connection and this sense of connection and love, we believe, are the defectiveness shame schema, the emotional deprivation schema, the emotional inhibition schema, and the social isolation alienation schema. And the healing pathways that we've developed for those 4 schemas that will help with connection are worthiness, self-validation, emotional expression, and belonging. And if you activate all of
Mm.
those things, you have a sense, you feel connected to yourself, connected to your own emotions, how you feel. You're able to nurture yourself. You see yourself as worthy of nurturance and love. And from that place, you're able to, I guess, share your emotional inner world with other people. When you don't have that shame
Yeah.
about how you feel, you express how you truly feel with others, which invites a closer, more intimate connection with others, as opposed to hiding how you feel.
Yeah. 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 Beautiful.
Yes. So
Mm.
talk us through the heart chakra, please.
So the heart chakra, so we have the color green. It can be associated with, like they say, grief is the key emotion with heart chakra. So it can be when we have a fear around, or an imbalance in the heart chakra would be a fear around intimacy or relationships, that fear of letting people in. It can present as low self-worth as well, like but more different in a sense to where it comes from the solar plexus. With the heart, it's more the self-criticism, so being really hard on themselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a form of shaming, isn't it? When you're really hard on yourself, it's because
Yeah.
you you can't soften towards yourself. You can't have that self-compassion. You think that how you feel is wrong or bad, and so you're
Yeah.
harsh on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it can also, in terms of the physical, can show up as heart, something around the heart or the lungs. So with all of this, it can be from the physical level of actual heart problems, or
Yep.
it can be from the energy level, like when we're doing kinesiology and muscle balancing through the body, that we show a weakness in, the heart or the lungs. So it's
Yeah.
like with our lungs in, kinesiology is associated with grief, which is, at the heart chakra. So it's like everything kind of has an overlap.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so what would be a simple technique that you might use in the holistic space when you see
Yeah.
an imbalance there?
I always like the inner child work, but again, it's probably anything but simple.
Yes,
Any of
that's true.
your
No, that's
journaling,
true.
your affirmations are always really beautiful there. And I guess like pairing the affirmations with the energy
Mm-hmm.
work of whether it's, tapping it into the body or balancing through the heart points, and then bringing in, certain affirmations. Like in, kinesiology, we can test up, what affirmations we want to use or what the body needs. And you could do that around the heart space. But again, like even so many of the visualizations of, it's you're visualizing the heart space opening.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
yeah.
I love
And I
that.
think,
One thing that we do is to teach you that your heart is so vast. It's like a big
yeah,
reservoir, and it can hold all kinds of emotions in it. It's not
yeah,
constricted, like I'm not going to
yeah,
feel this and this.
yeah. And I think
Mm,
sometimes it doesn't always have to be so difficult. I think
mm, mhm.
like when we talk about inner child, or, like that's quite often, that the heavy, hard stuff, whereas it can actually at times be as simple as, of working with the energy and expanding, like opening up through expanding the aura, expanding the heart space, visually,
Yep.
energetically, and it actually feels like a really nurturing, nourishing
Yes.
practice.
Yes. That's a really good point, because you kind of had to have done all the training, don't you, to know when when to go complex
Yeah,
and deeper, and it's going to be a multi-layered approach
yeah,
versus some clients might be just at that point where they're more ready to just add a couple of
yeah,
techniques like you're describing, but I
yeah,
guess the practitioner themselves would be the one to identify, well, which path are we going to take
yeah,
here?
yeah. Yeah, that when we focus on our energy body and balance through the chakras, that, sometimes we don't need to get caught up in all of the stories around why
Yeah.
it is,
Yes.
why it is. It's just like, okay, we have a,
Mm-hmm.
a blockage, or there's stagnant energy in here. So let's,
Mm-hmm.
bring the charge back into that chakra, into the energy, shift, the stagnant energy, and that can be really beautiful, calming practices. Like one thing that
Mm.
I will often do is I kind of test up people's chakras, and then I say a kind of quick and easy way to balance all of the chakras is through the sound bowls. So the sound bowls are all matched to one of the chakras, and
Yep.
then we test the chakras again at
Yes.
the end of the sound healing, and you find then they're all open and balanced.
Yeah. And isn't that a beautiful modality or beautiful technique to have access to examine whether we can achieve that kind of, I want to say,
Yeah,
quick result. And
yeah,
I'm not saying that because lengthy therapy is a bad thing, but sometimes we can get a quick result, and if we can, then the client's going to want to get that
yeah,
improvement as soon as possible, where a
yeah,
body-based technique might get them to that place.
yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think, and which is part of why I've have moved into this space, that I'm like, I think working from the mind alone can take can take a long time. Whereas it's like if we can work with the mind, but we can also work with the body, we can work with your energy and put it in a whole holistic kind of framework, then we find those, shifts quicker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why I'm excited. I'm hoping to see more collaboration between psychologists and holistic therapists going forward. Do you know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
see it as being more efficient to look at, well, what are some body-based techniques that we can introduce? And even if the psychologist doesn't have the training in that, to potentially be working together
Yeah. Yeah.
in a practice that, offers all those things.
So I think it's definitely the way of the future, or it's,
Mm-hmm.
in where we put ourselves, it seems that it's definitely the way that, things are headed. But
Yes.
it could be just that we're surrounding ourselves with those people as well.
Yes.
Mm.
Yes.
Mm.
Okay, beautiful. Heart chakra. Okay, so now I would like to describe to you the fairness code. So the fairness code is what we focus on for clients where there's a lot of resentment. They have a lot of resentment. Resentment is the key emotion that they're coming with. They have this sense that life's not fair. I do everything for other people. I don't get anything in return. When is it going to be my turn? No one sees, all the good things that I do. They're not sort of repaying the favor.
Yeah.
Why is this happening to me? I do so many good things, so many favors for others.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's this issue with fairness and justice, and often we can trace it back to two key schemas: the punitiveness schema and the self-sacrifice schema. So the punitiveness schema, often someone has been unfairly punished or scapegoated in the family environment and given the message that the problems in this family are all your fault. And that child
Yeah.
has kind of internalized that and gone, oh, okay, well, the problems around here are because of me, I'm to blame. And so then they develop the self-sacrifice schema, and they develop this belief that if I'm just of help, more helpful, put everyone else's needs first,
Yeah.
do good for others, they will see that I am actually a good person, and then they will give me the love, and then that will
Yeah.
cause the fairness. That will create
Yeah.
fairness and justice if I just give to others. And so they carry that with them into their adult lives, but then they discover that life isn't actually inherently fair, that there isn't that inbuilt justice where if you do good, you get
Yeah.
rewarded for that good deed. So often there's a lack of boundaries, and there's this sort of belief that if I just do more for others, then they'll start appreciating me. And it doesn't
Yeah.
work like that, because sometimes people just take
Yeah.
and they'll be
Yeah.
give. So there's resentment. And so the key emotion that we're wanting to cultivate is equanimity, where it feels like there is balance in
Yeah.
my life. I'm able to set boundaries with people who take too much from me, because all the other chakras, all the other well-being codes, I know my worth, I know when to say no,
Yeah.
I know when to assert myself, I know when to say enough's enough, and therefore I create fairness in my life that way. And so the two healing pathways that we activate in the fairness code are reciprocity, to heal from self-sacrifice, and then self-compassion to heal from punitiveness. So
Yeah.
that's where we're heading with the fairness code.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yes,
so
I
I
see
wonder, can you yeah.
with it as well. So with the throat, it's a lot about our communication, of our ability to express, to say what we want to say.
Yeah.
It could be an imbalance in that chakra is the swallowing of words, which ties in a lot, with what you're, saying, of like, if I just keep the peace or just swallow what, my needs are, so that I will be approved, or that I will, be respected. So there can be that fear around expressing or standing up for themselves. again, like we kind of said, the connection with the solar plexus. So the solar plexus can be like having those boundaries, and then the voice being able to actually express that and to set that boundary.
Mm.
So it can show up as, I guess, when it's out of balance, it can kind of, we talk about lies with it, like it could be that you're not telling the truth. So it can be a lot of that speaking critically to self.
Yep.
Or yes, not speaking your truth. So it could be what's actually coming out of your mouth is what you think somebody else wants to hear, so that you can seek that approval
Like
rather
I'm
than what you
fine or
actually.
I'm okay
Yeah,
when you're not.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So it can, and it's one that I think shows up a lot. It can be around that, the assertiveness. So it could be when we are have too much energy in the throat chakra, is it comes across quite aggressive. So it's, or the pressure to always speak. So it can be that just talking and talking and talking for no reason, just because it's coming from a imbalanced place.
Yep.
Or it could be, in the under energy is where that kind of real withdrawn, silent, not speaking up, not having a voice.
Yeah, that's great. So would that include like people when they sense there's an injustice or they're not being treated well, that they might use very harsh communication or
Yeah, yeah,
language when it should
yeah,
be balanced with more relational language?
yeah, yeah. So it can come off, kind of quite like, could be like really quite bitter words, or
Right.
that
Yeah.
kind of the aggression, like which you would
Yes.
see, in relationships. But also in the not speaking up could be around kind of the fairness of, something that you can see that is not right. It could be bullying at
Yep.
school, or something, and it's, that you want to speak up about it, but you can't voice it. So when
Absolutely.
we're balanced in the throat chakra would be when we can have that voice. We can, stand up for ourselves. We can express what we need to. We have clear communication.
Yeah, beautiful. And I would say we have more influence when we're speaking from that more balanced place because our words are being received better. They ring true. There's not that aggression in our words. And the minute that we have
Yeah,
aggression in our words, obviously the other person's going to shut down. But if we're speaking that truth, that beautiful, pure truth,
yeah,
I just think that we're going to have more
yeah,
influence.
yeah. So it can also be a balanced throat chakra is also with listening, that you're able to listen more
Yeah.
effectively. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, great. So I don't want to use the word simple here, but what would
Because
be a
you're saying, I'm
technique?
like, I don't go for
Because
simple.
well, and that's fair enough. Like, you have to train in these things. This is not something that you learn on a 3-week course on the internet.
And I think, there are so many. I think I'm still, as much as I love all of this, I'm still such a skeptic. Like, so that's probably why when you say the simple, I'm like, like even though I use all of the crystals, I love the crystals. Like I've got, crystals
Yeah.
all around me now. But I'm
Mm.
like, I'm still like, is it enough
Is it
to
enough? Yes.
balance? Or it's
Yeah.
like, okay, I know that you're leaving with it balance now. Like, I guess this is the psych mind that comes in. I'm like, but how long does it stay balanced?
Yeah,
And that's
that's
where I guess I want the
oh
research
yeah.
around, I've thought like with,
Yeah.
the sound healing is when I check at the end that everybody, is balanced. It's then that kind of inquisitive, I guess the researcher in me of like, okay, so how long does that
Yes.
last? That
Yes.
if we're balancing through the energy, I guess, in terms of how we create that lasting changes, where we have the tools that we're continuing to, circulate the energy, or bring charge to the chakras, is how that balance,
Yeah.
remains. But it's like,
Yeah.
say in terms of the throat, it's like, yes, let's
Mm.
balance the energy around the throat so it's easier to speak up, but then we actually need that exposure. We need to go in and to put ourselves in situations where we're actually using our voice, because that's
Yes.
how we that's how we work through, some of those fears that come up
Yeah.
around it. Yeah.
Yeah, and addressing the historical events that cause you to not have a voice, and processing
Yeah.
that and telling your story about where that came from, which is all the psychology. So you're absolutely
Yeah.
right. There's probably short-term techniques that will give an immediate relief, and then some more long-term that will help to
Yeah.
sustain it over time.
Yeah. And I think when we can just bring it all in together, it's like,
Yes,
it's
I
amazing.
know.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Be across all
Yeah.
of it, because you're going to have to attack it from all these angles, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
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 So what would be some techniques for the throat chakra? Would it be like, do you get people to scream and yell really loud to clear it? I don't know. I'm just making that
Yeah.
up.
They definitely, like, it is a way, yep, definitely, that they can clear it. It can be singing, chanting.
Oh,
Um,
right.
I think of, like, even a lot of the polyvagal
Yeah.
techniques, like the humming bee breath. When
Uh-huh.
you're humming and you're kind of activating the throat
Yep.
through that.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. I think
Oh, wow.
singing's a really good one. But
Yeah.
yeah, screaming, definitely
Yeah. The
you can do
primal
that.
rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so the sixth code that we talk about in the wellbeing codes is the self-discipline code. And that is for people that struggle with frustration. They're finding that, they're always frustrated in life. And the two schemas that we look at that might be blocking self-discipline is the insufficient self-control / self-discipline schema, and the entitlement grandiosity schema. So when there's those two schemas, they cause problems with self-discipline, and the emotion or the state that we're wanting to cultivate more of is clarity.
Yeah.
So when you have a clear sense of your values and who you are and what you're about in life and what path you're on in life, I guess, and what kind of person you want to be and how you want to show up in your work life, in your home life, in your relationships, as a friend, then you get clarity and you start to experience less frustration because you're really connected to your core values. And so the healing pathways that we activate in the self-discipline code are focus, to help heal the insufficient self-control, self-discipline schema, and consideration of others, to help heal the entitlement grandiosity schema. So
Yeah.
that's what we teach in the self-discipline code. And that's one of the ones that I'm working on myself this year. My word is patience. My word for the year is patience.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, which comes into that sort of, feeling entitled for life to be easy. Do you know what I mean? I have this sort of
Yeah.
old unhealthy belief that my life should be easy, even though I've got 2 children and all the challenges that come with
Yeah.
that. So the self-discipline code, and having that clarity that I chose to be a parent, and my children don't have the skills that adults have, so I need to be patient and to rein in the frustration.
Yeah.
So then I wonder, could you talk a little bit about the third eye chakra?
So the third eye is located between our two eyes in our forehead. It is around, like, the clear seeing. So clarity is a big part for the third eye as well. It can be our intuition, like our inner knowing. So an imbalance in the third eye could be, a lot of the confusion, the overthinking, a lot of the mental noise.
Yes.
And then when it's balanced is the clear knowing, the clarity. You know who you are, you know where you're headed. You're connected with your intuition, so you kind of have those intuitive feelings, or just knowing, without the kind of mind always interfering, of the excessive thinking.
Yeah, I love that. And so this intuition is having access to your own wisdom and judgment as well, like having good judgment.
Yeah.
I sort of
Yeah.
connect to having good intuition is having good judgment on, the decisions that you
Yeah.
make.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, definitely good judgment and that trust. Like you trust the information that's coming to you, you trust the guidance that you are to take. And it shows up as that, as wisdom of just being wise, being connected,
Mm.
wise,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing yourself well.
Yeah, which is
Mm.
really about clarity, isn't it? It's like, okay,
Yeah.
it's the way forward is not muddied.
Yeah.
It's like I'm
Yeah.
clear about what steps I need to take next because I really have that sense of who I am and what I'm about, as opposed to,
Yeah.
I guess, like you were saying, all that noise or the distractions in life, the sort of the
Yeah.
shiny object over here or the
Yeah.
yummy, delicious treat over here or that cute
Yeah.
person over here, all the things that kind of pull us away from what
Yeah.
we really want in our life,
Yeah.
which is sort of being able to
Yeah.
see forward.
Yeah. Which
Mm.
probably takes us away then from the discipline as well, like all of these kind of outside distractions of, it can be like, oh, I'm here and then I'm here, and then because we're often confused if the third eye isn't balanced, that it can
Yep.
be getting kind of distracted with all of the things around us that
Yes.
takes us away from that discipline of where
Yeah.
where we need to be focusing our energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what I see with this chakra and this code is that sort of going after that next fix or the dopamine hit, because we get a lot of
Yeah.
dopamine if we sort of, I don't know, spend a lot of time on social media, for example, and you're like, there's a lot of dopamine hits that we could get there, but it could
Yeah.
be taking us away from what's more important at a deeper level, what we're really wanting to do in
Yeah.
life. It's about sort of having the
Yeah.
self-discipline to kind of go, nope, put the phone down. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So I've described all the 6 well-being codes. So there's not a 7th code.
Yeah.
But there is the crown chakra that we
Yeah.
haven't described yet. So I wonder, can you talk
Yeah.
us through that one?
So the crown chakra is our connection to something outside of ourselves. So that can look different for everybody, but it can be like that universal kind of connection, of trusting in synchronicities and just being like, connection is a big part of it, that universal connection.
Yeah, beautiful. And how would you practice opening your crown chakra or making sure it's in
I
balance?
think for third eye and crown, like with them being the higher of the chakras, it more is that kind of esoteric, I guess, the more like, the intuition, the universal kind of, I don't know, all the fun all the fun stuff.
Spirituality.
Spiritual, spiritual beliefs. And so meditation is really good, for both of those. It could be the automatic writing, like connecting in with the intuition. Like it can be asking for your signs or your synchronicities, or that, learning
Wanting to
to
receive it.
build a relationship with with whatever that connection is for people, whether it's the universe or developing your own intuition, but show me where I am to be headed. A little bit like this, our chat today was, I think, a couple of days before you had reached out to me, I had decided on doing a mentorship program around human design and the chakras. And I kind of put it out there and I was like, yep, that's what I'm doing. And then I was like, okay, well, just, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, just give me another sign. And then I think it was like the next, it might have even been that afternoon or the next day you had reached out, and I was like, well, that's really random. Like that.
All right, Alicia, let's have a conversation about the intersection of psychology and the
Yeah.
chakras.
And because I thought, like, even though I guess you can read into all of my work from what I do that I like the chakras, I'm like, I very, very rarely ever talk about the chakras
Yes.
online. So it was when, your invitation had come through, it was like, okay, that's that kind of, the intuition, the crown chakra of trusting the synchronicities, just kind of it can be a lot of that taking a leap of faith.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. So your connection to life in general, it's not just you as an individual human person, but
Okay.
you kind of getting almost outside of just your own life, your own self,
Yeah.
and looking a little bit more broadly about
Yeah.
how it's all connected.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that can show up differently for different people. It could be, a religion that they connect with, or it could be, it's going to look
Yep.
different. It doesn't
Yes.
have to be that spiritual,
Right.
universe connection. It can look different too. And some people, they will often say, or they will have a balanced chakra and they're like, I know that I'm connected to something bigger than myself.
Yeah.
I just don't actually know what that is or
Yes.
what that looks like, but I
Yep.
feel that,
Yes.
connection.
Yeah. Don't have a word for it necessarily. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and for me, lately I've been noticing just having gratitude for life, just sometimes being outside, and I've got a beautiful garden and beautiful trees, and just
Yeah.
that's receiving, like, I feel so fortunate just to be
Yeah.
alive and to have
Yeah.
nature around me. So some
Yeah.
simple,
Oh,
gratitude.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And just that wonder about life, like that awe, like,
Yeah.
because my partner, he loves talking about like galaxies and universes and all of that, and he's like, there has to be life, somewhere
Yeah.
else. And so just we like having those kind of conversations, and then
Yeah.
my mind starts to explode because, like, oh, my poor little mind really hasn't
Yeah.
up till now had a template for appreciating
Yeah.
the vastness of
Yeah.
it all.
So that's very much the crown. Yeah.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. Okay, so how
Mm.
did you like this conversation?
I love it. Like it's because it's all the things that I love, all the things that light me up. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I hope that there'll be people that listen to this that are maybe across both camps, maybe, psychology, that top-down approach, and maybe more holistic practitioners who are body, sort of bottom-up approaches, and see how it's all connected, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's amazing. All right. So,
Are
Alicia, where can people find you then?
So I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Alicia Weston underscore, I think it is.
Yes.
But yeah, I can,
ALISHA. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And Weston, Weston.
Yes. And do you have a website? Because you do offer in-person consultations.
Yeah, so my website is aliciaweston.com.
Hmm. And you're based in Toowoomba
In Toowoomba. Yeah,
in
yeah.
Queensland. Yeah, about
Yes.
2.5 hours away from me on the Gold Coast, I think.
Yeah, much better being at the Gold Coast.
Oh, you can come anytime.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Mm.
thank you so much for spending the time today, Alicia. And I hope that everyone who's listening to this got some insights or had some light bulb moments about how they can apply some of this body, mind wisdom.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you.